Before we start, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting these videos, subbing, watching. It means a lot to me, and I really like getting to share these things with you. I spend a lot of time working on them, and I like to see that they're getting appreciated. It means a lot. Thank you. That's about it for the preamble. This will be a list of my favorite multi-genre horror movies. There are only 2 rules here. First rule, no pure horror movies. Duh. Second rule, if I look it up on Google and it has horror listed as one of its genres, it can go on this list. Okay, that's enough preamble. Let's go. Number 10, Shaun of the Dead. As part of the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy, Shaun of the Dead boasts incredible cinematography, incredible foreshadowing, along with British wit, cameos from zombie film icons, along with a loving homage to those movies, and one of the most endlessly quotable scripts ever to be written for a horror comedy. That said, it isn't my favorite movie. It's perfectly good, but I feel as though it is a little overhyped. I just feel as though it doesn't offer anything that I haven't seen before. However, I fear if I don't put this on the list, I might actually get hunted down and killed. It is a good movie, but it just isn't as funny or as scary as I was hoping. Number 9, One Cut of the Dead. 45-minute sequence edited to feel like a one take. A plot so bonkers it gives the unbearable weight of massive talent a run for its money. A budget slightly lower than my middle school play, and a loving homage to zombie media and filmmaking in general. One Cut of the Dead, along with movies like Pontypool and Overlord, show that the zombie film genre is not going to die anytime soon. Pun intended. Number 8, Housebound. Housebound, in my opinion, is one of the most well-balanced horror comedies. Horror comedies tend to be too one-sided. Either they're too funny or too scary, and the ones that try to balance it often end up failing at both. Housebound is the unique movie that succeeds at both. The comedy has a few good laughs, and the horror had me tensed up throughout the entire final act. The movie is very predictable, but not in a bad way. The reveals are pretty well telegraphed, while also being really fun. The somewhat lackluster slow burn might not be for everyone, but it remains fun enough and just twisty enough to remain enjoyable and engaging up to the 3rd act. And oh boy, what a 3rd act it is. It becomes readily apparent where all the money and most of the creativity went. The 3rd act is a home invasion thriller with a bonker plot, crazy lines, and brutal violence. If you're looking for a low-budget comedy horror, then this might be the movie for you. That final kill is just mwah, chef's kiss. Number 7, Sinners. I went into Sinners with extremely low expectations. I thought it would be an action-centered popcorn film with nothing but guns and cheap jump scares. But I'm happy to say that I was right. However, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. While there were only like 3 moments in the entire film that surprised me, I still really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for a few very particular reasons. First, the music slaps. The music ties the whole plot together and keeps the 2+ hour movie from feeling like a chore to sit through. Even if nothing is going on in the plot, the music readily picks up the slack. The second reason is that it has good acting. The acting from everyone is stellar. I'm not usually a fan of dual roles, but Michael B. Jordan does a pretty impressive job, and it doesn't feel like an actor just trying to show off. The side characters are all very likable, and the straightforward plot and good payoffs are satisfying. The main vampire is definitely the highlight of the film. Hippie Irish vampire in the deep south shouldn't work this well or be as fun as it is. It is really only held back by steep competition and a somewhat nonsensical post-credit scene that genuinely forced me to go back to a previous scene because it felt so much like a continuity error. But in the end, it does pull it together. Also, anti-racist is almost as good as anti-Nazi. The last one is something you will see again on this list. I also did have to look up if I will get demonetized for saying that, and I don't think I will, hopefully. Number 6, Green Room. Green Room is actually not a movie. It's a social experiment into whether or not you can make Sir Patrick Stewart terrifying. The answer is a resounding yes. Green Room is around a continuous hour of pure stress. It is so incredibly unenjoyable watching the main cast of likable characters get picked off in extremely brutal fashion. The kills have almost no real build-up, and it feels random, and it's not fun to sit through. And the movie's balls-to-the-wall climax is so cathartic because of the seemingly extremely brutal violence that we've just been witnessing. This movie has one of the best endings to a movie I've ever seen. Most of the times, if a movie did this type of ending, I would call it out for feeling disingenuous. However, the fact that the movie feels so bleak, along with the Chekhov's paintball gun story, it actually has liking the ending, that it had a happy ending, despite being a very grim movie. Green Room has good pacing, good action, good acting, and good effects. Well, it holds it back is its inexplicable lack of grunts in the evil organization. There's a grand total of, I think, 7, and I don't know, that feels way too small for to be this threatening force that they're made out to be. That said, it is still a very good film, incredibly acted, incredibly tense, incredibly violent, and incredibly anti-Nazi. And we like that. Number 5, Overlord. The pitch meeting for this movie went something like this. Hey, what if we made a movie about Nazi zombies, but it didn't suck? And yeah, it doesn't suck. Overlord is the pinnacle of what I like to call high-octane horror. These are movies like The Void or The Dark and the Wicked, where once the film starts, it doesn't let up. And Overlord is even more unrelenting than those horror films. You get maybe 5 minutes, give or take, of downtime to get to know the characters before the movie starts. And when it does start, it does not let up the gas. When it does start, it does not let up off the gas. The threat of being discovered by the Nazis and the mystery of what the Nazis are doing keeps the first half before the zombies as intense as after the zombies are introduced. Honestly, maybe even more so. Now that I think about it, the movie is actually more terrifying and intense before the zombies are introduced. That's not to say the final act is bad, quite the opposite. The second half focuses more on being a pulpy action zombie movie. I love it for all the creative zombies and all the creative kills. It's wonderful action horror with an unrelenting pace, and it flies by. It is a movie that doesn't really have a message, but also doesn't really need one. It walks in, gives you a solid hour and a half of high-octane entertainment, then leaves. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Number 4, The Menu. A glorious slice of unsettling horror sprinkled in with comedy so dark that black holes are telling this movie that it's a bit much. Great acting, great plot, and great commentary. The Menu is pretty much what I was expecting the movie Pig with Nicolas Cage to be. This movie knows exactly what it wants to be, and what it wants to be is entirely unique. It is incredibly tense throughout the second half. The first half is a slow burn where you get to see the oddities stack up as the characters are set up. The first half perfectly sets up the fantastic and wild second half. The second half is a brutal game of cat and mouse between the restaurant patrons and the staff. What makes the movie so good, besides Ralph Fiennes' stellar turn as Jacob Slovik, is its commentary. It is a commentary on the nature of art and perfectionism. It is essentially the scene in Finway's from Pig stretched out to a feature-length film. It is a critique of both consumption and production. It questions what makes something true art, but it also points out the hypocrisy of the entire concept of the consumption of art by playing both sides. The person who consumes art without thought is wrong, but the one who produces art without thought is also wrong. In the end, it delivers a message about not doing something simply because it is what will give you fame. That and people get s'mores to death. Number 3, Bone Tomahawk. Calling Bone Tomahawk a horror movie feels a bit disingenuous. The top 3 movies on this list just aren't really all that scary. That said, Bone Tomahawk is definitely the one on the podium most in touch with its horror genre listing. People like to throw around the term hyper-violent when talking about this movie, but that also feels wrong. Bone Tomahawk is a very strange movie because it doesn't seem like it should satisfy anyone. It's not scary or fast-paced enough for adrenaline junkies. It's too straightforward and intense for fans of slow burns. It lacks the volume of gore to satisfy your average gore hound, but it's also way too violent for a fan of, say, psychological horror or just of thrillers. But it doesn't really matter. It has excellent reviews, and after watching it, the reason why becomes pretty clear. Bone Tomahawk isn't some hyper-violent Western. It's a thrilling, character-driven Western with fantastic acting. All the characters have easy-to-grasp motivations. Its straightforward storyline of a man trying to rescue his wife, who has been kidnapped by a group of cannibals, sounds like it would lead to fast-paced, gore-fueled thrill ride, but it consists of mainly just people talking. But the movie is so well written and acted that you don't even care. Kurt Russell gives a fabulous performance. It is his highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes, and all the other actors give incredible performances. The only real gripe I have about this film is that the violence is either very real, if you know the scene I'm talking about, you know, or very silly looking. The bone axes of the troglodytes seem to act like molten chainsaws and just turn into lightsabers and just obliterate things that they touch without like having any seeming friction. I don't know, it's really weird. It looks really, really corny, but it's still a great movie. Okay, top 2, let's go. Number 2, Mandy. Story-wise, Mandy is an extremely simple film. A man tries to get revenge on a cult that killed his wife. I summarized the entire plot in one sentence, and I don't think I missed a single part of the plot. But honestly, a lot of my favorite movies have very simple plots. When you remove excess plot lines, take notes, Dark Knight, it allows you to focus on other parts of the movie. That laser focus allows this movie to have a 2-hour runtime, and it flies by. You don't even get the title card until around an hour in, and it honestly doesn't even feel weird. Honestly, cutting any part of this movie feels like it would be a crime. Every scene feels deliberate and adds to the feel or narrative of the film. Let's talk about that feel. If the sentence murderous lumberjack does demonic hallucinogens that he took from 2 demon bikers that he killed after doing drugs off a fragment of broken coffee table, if it doesn't make you at least somewhat intrigued, then doctors can officially declare you deceased. This movie can best be described as the best worst anti-drug PSA. It is a kaleidoscopic nightmare of strange visuals, brutal kills, and disturbing imagery. It is a heavy metal album cover that decided to be a movie. It is truly unlike any film I've ever seen. Furthermore, Nick Cage is the cherry on top of this already insane film. This movie, along with A Cold Equation, Ad Infinitum, and The Tattooist of Auschwitz, each take up 10% of my brain at any given time. The Rotten Tomato review of simultaneously the worst and best movie I've ever watched sums it up perfectly. And finally, at number 1, Psycho Goreman, or PG. Yeah, it's the second time I'm putting this at number 1, but I just love this movie too much. The pitch meeting for this movie went something like this. Do you want to make a movie? Yes. What genre should it be? Should it be a goofy family comedy, a fantasy, or a hyper-violent horror? Yes. What should it be rated? Should they say, like, frick and stuff, or should there be actual swearing and violence? Yes. Should we write dialogue that feels purposeful and clever, or should we write dialogue that was seemingly AI generated? Yes. Should the effects look like they are from a big budget blockbuster or a middle schooler's first attempt at editing? Yes. Should the costumes look like they came straight from The Thing and Peter Jackson's Lord of the Ring, or should they look like we gave each cast member a $200 gift card to Michael's and told them to have fun? Yes. Should they act at a professional level or a community play level? Neither. Every actor should look like they were told to give 110%, but it was the first time at reading the script and they all recorded their parts separately. Yeah, the best way to describe this movie is with the word gradient. Everyone and everything in this movie is either massively over the top or under the bottom. I don't even think that's a saying, but it should be because it applies here. I shouldn't have liked this movie this much, but it had me smiling like a jackal who was getting tickled by 12 different people the entire time. I'm sorry that an analogy was really strange, and I'm realizing that I'm going to have to edit in a photo of that, and God, that's going to be a fun editing thing. Oof. This movie is unironically in my top 5 favorite movies. Actually, it is in contention with a few others for the number 1 spot. It more than earns its place at number 1 and is leagues above any other horror comedy. I love it so much. Anyway, that's my list of the top 10 genre-bending horror movies. If you disagree with them, go make your own YouTube video. I don't know what to tell you there, boss. Again, I really appreciate a like and sub, but honestly, just a view and a comment means the world to me. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.